Hi there, everybody. This is the Mark Moe Show podcast, and this is Fireside Chats. We do this about 2 or 3 times every season. We get a interesting guest from the community, and we talk about just whatever we want to talk about. And I have a great guest this week, and he is a musician. He is an artist. Sergijoe Villani, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Mark.
Absolutely. Now I've known this guy a while, and but my audience here, there's a really good chance that you don't know him, but now you're going to know him. He's a fantastic musician and artist, and I figure I'll just have Joe talk a little bit about himself, but more importantly, kind of just what he's doing in music and art these days.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, that's kind of my main thing. And if you're checking me out, it's like Sergijoe Music and Artworks, which took me a little while to kind of figure out how to do everything, because everything in this modern world wants a social media page, and people like concise, marketable, single issue kind of pages are nice. So, but I'm into a lot of different stuff. So I try to make it as concise as can be, and so it's music and artworks is kind of what I love to do all the time.
So that being the case, from the artwork perspective now, I've followed your music a little bit longer than your art, but there was a show recently here in Valparaiso where there was art on skateboards, which I found to be awesome, by the way. So maybe talk a little bit about that, because that was, at least for me, from like a show perspective, like an art show, that was kind of my introduction to your art. So maybe just talk a little bit about maybe that project and then like the things you love to paint.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I loved to skateboard. Mm-hmm. So I was like always kind of artistic, grew up kind of that way. My sister was really good at art, and I remember just wanting to be good at art like she was. So I always just tried a little, and continue with that. But then in middle school and stuff, we're talking 2003. Yeah,
okay.
2002. Yeah, around this area. Moved to this neighborhood where everybody skateboarded all the time, and they were all really good at it. Yeah. And so that was kind of what you did, and especially if you wanted to like hang out or have any friends, you should probably like not suck at skateboarding.
Right.
So I learned and did that for a long time, and I still kind of do. They built a skate park across the street from my house, so now I go over there and get injured every once in a while in my 30s now, and it's not as fun. But anyway, I always just enjoyed it. And with skateboards, you get artwork on the bottom. Right. So I spent a lot of my probably school hours like looking at these skateboard magazines and like fantasizing about all the cool skateboards that I would want. And of course you have like, everybody has their favorites of ones that they think are cool. I remember sitting in class very vividly and be like, man, whoever makes these skateboard designs, that would be an awesome job.
Yeah.
So like years go by. For a long time I didn't paint. I just didn't really have like a place to do it. And I guess I started kind of getting back into it around 2016 and 17. And each year since then, I've produced more paintings than the year before.
Yeah.
So I was going through ideas over the few years, developing a little bit, just having fun. And then I was like, it would be cool to do a skateboard. Yeah. And so I was talking to my friend, and he kind of enjoys my paintings too. And he's like, I'll buy you 2 skateboards, like blank ones, and you do your paintings on them as long as you give me one. And I was like, all right, deal. And so he bought the 2 skateboards, sent at my house. He was very patient, and it took me a pretty long time to do the first one and the second one. Each painting I do takes, on average, I'd say 30 to 40 hours, somewhere in there. I'm getting a little faster. I'm getting that hours number down a little bit. But I did these 2 skateboards, and they turned out sweet. They're all on my Instagram page if you ever want to check it out, Sergijoe Artworks. These skateboards, like one was all in blues, one was all in reds. So they build the skate park across the street from my house. I learn that the skate shop is going to open, and I'm like, hey, I'll just like reach out and say like, hello, and that I do skateboard art. And maybe I was thinking that maybe he would want to hang up those 2 that I did, and he would just hang them up.
Yeah.
So I met him, and he's shout out to Ty over at Havoc Skate Shop.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being a great supporter and an awesome community member for all skaters and beyond. But we met, and we just kind of chatted about art and stuff. And then he ended up hitting me up around, the springtime, and he said he wanted to do a skateboard for his shop. And I was like, awesome. And in this case, like, I do paintings for myself, I do paintings for commissions, and they work differently. And depending on who's commissioning it, we kind of like negotiate how the project should look or turn out or whatever. So he is very creative too, and is a great writer and just imaginative. So he had this creature in mind that goes along with like this kind of comic book style series that he calls Midwestern Emptiness. Ooh. And he gives me this idea of the Godel. The Godel is like a turtle, frog, toad creature with antlers.
Ooh.
And shows up during puberty, and each person has their own slightly different Godel that kind of like, I don't know, accompanies them through this time.
Okay. I get it.
He could explain it better. Yeah. But okay, so what's fun and challenging about taking a project like that is you hear something like that and you're like, okay, how do I turn this into a single image, a picture that embodies all of that?
Right.
And so I have this little process I do. I just kind of sketched out some stuff. He told me, and he told me what he the parts that he liked and the parts that maybe should be this or that. And each person that I work with kind of has a different level of expectations of how it might be. And I have known some artists that are not very good with that. It's like, well, I made this. Yeah. And like they don't kind of want to go back and forth. I don't mind it. I like it a little bit. It's challenging. Gives me something to like go for. And I don't ever feel like anything that I make is perfect anyway, so I can always do better.
Yeah.
So I spend a long time, do this Godel. It turns out really nice. Lots of processes involved in like learning how to go about this, how to proportion it so it's going to be right for a skateboard and all that.
Yeah.
A little bit of measurements and math and stuff, which is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
But I finished this project and he likes it and it's awesome. And then, and that was it. And then he hit me up. He's like, hey, would you like to do 3 more? And I was like, all right, let's do it. So he gives me 3 other characters. We got TV the Kid, we have the Grizzle Lug, and we have the Gray Giant. Ooh. And these, all kind of exist in the same universe. He was kind of worried about, making sure that they all go together. And I was like, I have a painting style and I'm not Leonardo da Vinci. So like everything that I paint looks like I painted it. And so therefore they will connect.
Yeah.
And was interesting. I gave him each one. So I spent the summer doing this series of 4 skateboards. And, but not on skateboards, right? Wooden planks to be transferred onto skateboards later. So it's like paintings. And I gave him each project as it was finished and never saw them together on the wall, which would have been cool until that opening night. And that was the event. And then I went into the skate shop and he had them all 4. And I was like pretty happy with how it all turned out. And then somehow like my childhood dream came true because I was a skateboard artist then. And even then, I was saying like, what's really going to be the best payoff is when I go over to that skate park and there's some people skating my boards and they're just, they have no idea the the story behind it. So that already happened multiple times. People dig them. He's selling a good amount of skateboards. So that was that one. And then I was like, okay, that was a lot of painting. I took a couple of weeks off and then kind of moved on to the next thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that show was really great. Had a great turnout, and I know everybody liked it. And as you said, and I found this interesting when you had said, like, you have a style, you totally do. And whether it's your skateboards or like some of the other artwork you do, no matter the medium, it's like always this futuristic, dystopian kind of theme that you have with a lot of your painting, which I think is really cool.
I consider it like all practice in a way, because when I was getting going, I was like, I can't wait until I have 10. But now I have like probably 35. But that seems like a small number to me still. Like, yeah, I only have 35. So I haven't tried even the ideas that I have. So I just like have all these other ideas. So at this point, yeah. And like what I'll do is I'll get onto like a tangent, and I'll do the same thing with like movies and stuff. It's just kind of go down this vibe until I feel like I've thoroughly explored it. Yeah. And so there's a few that have like this dystopian kind of sci-fi feel, and it comes from movies too, because I just have such a love for them. I like to do my thing with the paintings and kind of imply, some kind of cinematic quality. But, that was just once. And my most recent one doesn't really have any of that. And it's a little bit more down to earth and trying some different things. And I'm kind of excited to see where that goes at this juncture.
That's really great. Now, do you envision any art shows, anything like that in the near future? Or is that something you would even like to do?
Yeah, I've done a few. It's really interesting with artwork and doing music at the same time. They kind of work in tandem, and experiences in one field can kind of inform what I might want to do in the other kind of field. And I feel like with music, I have just as much experience. I've been doing it for just as long, but I feel like I have to work harder at it. Mm-hmm. And like I have to seek it out and make sure that it's happening. Otherwise, I feel like I go through a dry spell or something. Sure. So that's kind of requires a certain amount of upkeep and like effort to go out and make sure that you're getting some gigs or you got some projects on the horizon. But in the reverse, artwork has come to me fairly smoothly, like since I started doing it. Like there's I don't know where all the listeners are, but there's a cafe in town, Uptown Cafe, and shout out to Uptown because they're great breakfast and coffee.
Absolutely.
I would go in there years ago, before 2016 when I kind of really got into this, and I would notice that they would do rotating art shows. Oh, yeah. And I was like, ultimate dream would be like to just have enough paintings to do an art show here. That would be so cool. And so I do some paintings. I start a little Instagram and kind of post this. Literally, Uptown Cafe gets a hold of me, and they're like, hey, would you like to do an art show? And I was like, heck yeah.
Amazing.
I was like, yeah, totally. And at that point, I was stretching, and I was like, I'm going to have to use every painting that I have in order to fill enough wall space in this pretty big cafe. And anyway, it went off really well. I really dug it. They let me do it the whole month of September. I was up for a whole month. Sold some originals, had a good showing. It also motivated me and helped me get organized to have like some prints available and kind of set some prices of what I want to, get for some of these. It's always sad to me to sell a painting. I'm getting better at it though. Yeah. Letting them all go because I know that other people put them up and enjoy them. So they're out there. And as long as I have a print, I'm okay with it. I have like a memory of what it was. So yeah, that show went off and it was awesome. And like all of a sudden my dream was accomplished. And I was like, dang, I should dream a little bigger and like and keep going. So fortunately, just about, like the skateboard project, as soon as that was done, somebody hit me up for the next thing. And as soon as that was done, somebody hit me up for the next thing. Right now I have a project that is happening, and I'm gonna get onto that. And every once in a while I get to do a painting for myself.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's the right amount of busy.
Yeah.
But those projects seem to come to me, and that is nice, and that just makes me feel like, people are digging it and kind of enjoying them, and I am enjoying making them. But yeah, music sometimes you gotta like go out and seek it out, because I feel like there's less tradition. There's all kinds of different artists, but I only know a few people who do like paintings,
Sure. Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of musicians.
Yeah, there are, for sure. Well, that's a great segue, because I definitely wanted to talk about your music as well. So maybe just tell me a little bit about what sparked your interest initially, and some of the projects you're working on now.
Well, I've been playing music initially. I kind of consider myself starting around 2003 or so, 2002. So that has been over 20 years now, I think. And I fell into music. Looking back, I can remember very early childhood memories of having this little Kermit the Frog keyboard, and I would sit there and they were kind of color coded, and now I know that these are octaves, right? But I would just sit there and play like octaves and like just, I don't know, listen. I played a lot on that keyboard, I guess.
Yeah.
But I really didn't do anything with music. I kind of fell into it by accident. In like 2001, 2002, I went over to a friend's house. I was just gonna hang out with my friend. Her brother was like way into guitars, and like had like a big half stack and like AC/DC posters all up. He had all these Gibsons and Flying V's and Les Pauls, and he like got one out and he sat me down on his bed. He put a Gibson Flying V in my hands.
Huh.
And he's like, here's how you do it. I didn't ask him to do any of this.
Right.
He's just like, look at this guitar, play this. And I was like, this is all cool. And he was very passionate about it. So he kind of inspired me. So I got a guitar. It's like a lot of people. It sat in the corner detuned for quite some time. I had another friend who was kind of starting to learn guitar, and I think she had like 2 guitar lessons, and so she was going to give me my first guitar lesson. And it didn't take, and it sat in the corner again for a good spell. And then a stroke of luck, this kid, I don't know his last name, Dan, moves across the street. He was older than me. He was like maybe 17, and I was 13 or 14.
Okay.
And I remember being out skateboarding, and we would hear this wailing guitar going on, and became friends with him. Told him I had a guitar. He kind of like, I don't know. I started some guitar lessons, and he just challenged me a ton. He started bringing over, all the 80s bands, all the Guns N' Roses, that's still even today, like you gotta kind of pay attention when you're playing Slash. And like all the Ozzy, all the Dream Theater, all the this stuff, all the Metallica, Boston, it goes on and on and on. And eventually I started to kind of pick it up. He just kind of expected that we understand, like, you better get, he would just, but he wouldn't get frustrated. He would just like continue to work with us until we were doing it. He's like, there's no giving up. We're just going to keep doing this until we can all do this. And so I started to kind of get with the program a little bit. And then eventually we were doing like little contests. We would like, okay, we'll see who can learn this Metallica solo better in 30 minutes. Go.
Right.
and then we'll have a little contest at the end, who got the solo closer. And he would always win. But like he pushed me so much. So he like showed me what it was to practice, showed me what it was to drive, showed me what it was to just press on. And after, he maybe moved away or something like that, like I was just like in it and been into it ever since.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now and I know you have a lot of styles that you can play, which is, it's really great. I have a nephew, and he really truly is like a session musician, and he can play a lot of different types of music, so he's always finding gigs with a lot of different bands and stuff, which I suppose is pretty great, right?
That's cool. Yeah.
To be able to do that. So in your case, I know that you've had some solo gigs, or where you, have another musician come along with you. I saw you up at, there's this venue right overlooking Lake Michigan. It's absolutely gorgeous. One of the best views anywhere.
Yeah.
And the rooftop is kind of this swanky little bar thing that's up there. And they have musicians and whatnot. So I saw you play up there, kind of like a jazzy session. Seemed to
as much as possible.
I was able to dig that. Now, is there a type of music that you prefer to play? Like just a certain type where you're just like, yeah, this is my stuff?
I am liking jazz more and more all the time.
Yeah.
But, I didn't start there. And there's even some jazz that I find challenging, and like it's not something that I would put on. So music is all over the place for me. Mm-hmm. Like what I listen to is not necessarily what I tend to play. And then what I play live is not always my favorite, but I try to kind of strike a balance.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
So I'll play a good amount of, I would say, they're not top 40 hits, but I would say, familiar tunes, a lot of familiar tunes. I try to be creative with those tunes, and it's not my goal to like do Prince like Prince. I'm never going to do that, and it shouldn't be the goal. So I just do it like me, but make it sound good and do something with the tune in a way that like you would do that with a jazz song.
Sure.
You kind of improvise on it. You play it in your way, right? Guitar mentor for many years, Marco Villarreal. Shout out Marco, just the wizard of music, at least in these parts for sure.
Yeah, I've heard him live. He's great.
So, I was sitting with him recently, and I asked him about fingerings, because it's just looking at notation. You don't necessarily know the position on the guitar, and that's kind of one of the challenges of that instrument. And so I asked him, do you ever like look up the videos of these guys and kind of see where they play this stuff, and so you can kind of like find the easiest route through it? And he's like, no. He's like, why would I do that? I'm not trying to sound like him. I'm trying to sound like me. So I take that as like a good philosophical, framework towards any music that I play. Don't be lazy and like skip over parts because they're too fast and complicated. But play the essential parts, and you don't have to necessarily like do every note in the Van Halen solo, unless it's like Beat It, which you should probably just play the Van Halen solo.
Yes, you should. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's all about kind of being in the moment and like kind of making a good and tasteful decision for what's needed. Yeah, but my favorite has become like jazz fusion, because it's challenging. I just feel it has a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah,
it's groovy, it's funky, it's interesting, it's different, it's creative, it can be rock, it can be Latin, it can be bluesy, it can be country.
Yeah.
When you say jazz, people have a preconception about maybe what they think jazz is. There's so many kinds. Yeah. So it's a big term, but I do like this almost, if I had to give it a genre, like a jazz fusion kind of thing, where I don't know, maybe I'm describing it wrong, but for me, it kind of feels a little bit more open. There's not as many rules, and almost anything goes. You can have vocals, you can do guitars. Guitar's not even a jazz instrument, so much traditionally. It's like mostly horns and lots of piano and bass, and maybe if you're a guitar player, we might let you play,
right?
as Pat Metheny would say. So, so that's where I'm at, and I try to I'll do that in any combination that I can, whether it be by myself or just with one friend, a small little group or a giant band.
Right? Exactly.
I enjoy all of it.
That's amazing. And at the end of this interview, we'll talk a little bit about the band you're playing, the upcoming gig, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But what I wanted to get together, and Joe and I can talk about so many different things, but one thing we definitely have in common is that we are definitely movie buffs, and we definitely connected on that level. I do have the review preview article that I write for the Entertainer magazine, and also do a little bit on the Mark Moe Show about movies. And my son has one called While You Were Sleeping, which is a really cool segment where he comes up with movies or shows or just any sort of multimedia experience that maybe is slept on, and he brings it up, which is kind of neat. So in this particular case, I just wanted to talk to you about, more importantly, like lately on your social media, you've been kind of doing some reviews, and not necessarily like what's at the theater now or today. These are like some old classics or cult classics that you've been kind of revisiting. And I thought that was really cool. So I'd love to hear a little bit about some of these that you've revisited.
There's not great service in here, so I can't like flip through them all, but I got a good amount that I've watched recently that I definitely remember. For me, I don't post on social media a lot unless it's a painting or a show flyer.
Yeah.
Not very often do I like put out an opinion or something.
Sure.
I just don't.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what sparked it. I watch all these movies all the time.
Yeah.
Just constantly, anything that pops into my head and somehow becomes like an obsession until I watch that movie, whether it's been 100 times or whether it's been one time. So I don't know how I quite came to it, but I was like, oh, that would be fun. maybe some people will also like this movie, and I'll have like 2 or 3 comments, and it'll be like a very small movie discussion.
Yeah.
And there's no regimented format for it, but I just kind of, whatever movie I'm watching, I put currently watching, I'll put the movie. I try to find an interesting still, never the movie poster, just like a good moment from the movie. And sometimes I'll sit there and scroll through and it's like, where's a good, like a beautiful moment from the movie, but not the one that everybody thinks about. And then I think usually I just kind of give my 2 cents on the movie real quick.
Yeah.
Or either why I love it or what I got out of it this most recent time, or why I keep coming back to it. Yeah, so what has been recently, we did, or I did, Encino Man.
Yes.
I have I think an affinity for these great 90s movies.
Yeah.
There's been several great eras of movies.
Oh, no doubt.
Not just the 90s, but the 90s were a great time for movies, and there were so many good ones. It was kind of, to me, it was that special time between where they had enough technology to kind of make what they wanted, but not so much technology to where they just use it for everything, I suppose.
Yes.
They had to do a lot of practicality. So last night I watched 2 actually. I watched the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And and that movie is exactly what I'm talking about. It's gritty. Like in the movie when it came out, it was probably just like a kids movie, right?
Sure.
And it really wasn't meant like as a serious film. But when you look back on it, it's got a ton of charm. Like even the opening, that great synth, and it's just like really good textures on the pipes and then the suits and the faces.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the mechanics that go into making those specific suits. They had it down because there was so much tradition built around Frank Oz and Jim Henson and what George Lucas did and Yoda and the Muppets and all that. So and the Dark Crystal and all these great like puppetry like advancements, and practical effects were at their peak right there. And then same era. It also last night was Death Becomes Her.
Oh yeah,
classic.
Yep,
that's one that I think it's because my mom always liked Meryl Streep. I always like Meryl Streep, and it's probably my favorite Meryl Streep movie. And I've been learning more about it throughout my life, but I remember watching it as a kid, and I was like, what's that one where she's got a hole in her stomach? and just see these scenes, there's a lot of really good picturesque scenes. And then I grow up and I'm like, oh, that's why. It's by Robert Zemeckis, who makes very memorable movies.
Oh, yes, he does.
Yeah. And he's become one of my favorites. He doesn't have a ton of movies, but they're all, I remember watching Contact. And I always go back to Contact, just because I love Carl Sagan, space, and it was like the 10th time I just never watched that it's Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah,
I was like, that's what it is. Yeah, so I kind of became aware of like the directors that I like, a little later on. But there's something gravitational about some of these guys and women directors who just like,
oh, for sure.
Just they have a way with their lens that it sticks in your memory a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's no doubt.
I'm always kind of looking for that in a movie, and it doesn't have to be like a serious movie like Ninja Turtles or something.
Yeah,
like it's just, but some of them have it, and some of them kind of lack, I think.
Now, do you? And I get different answers with fellow friends and whatnot that are movie buffs. I get different answers to this all the time. If you have a preference to kind of like be in your own element, in your home, your TV, put the movie in, blanket, bowl of popcorn on your favorite chair and just kind of chilling, taking this movie in, or do you prefer the movie theater in the fancy lounge chair with your snacks and that sort of thing? Do you have like one of those is like a favorite over another, or is just it just kind of depends? Okay,
so but of course it depends on what your goal is with the movie. Mm-hmm. I think that's an important thing that maybe some people don't get. Is like, it's not the movie that you like. It's like, what is right for tonight? What's the perfect movie for this? How we're both feeling, how I'm feeling, that is gonna just like maybe connect.
Yeah.
So I think about that, and when I think about, if I show a movie to another person, I'm like, are they in the right headspace for this movie right now? Or should we not watch this movie right now and put on like, Mr. Bean or something?
Exactly.
But I gotta say, if I have an ultimate viewing experience and I just got a wish list, easy. I would go to the Music Box Theater in Chicago, and I would see, probably some, 78 millimeter? 72 millimeter, I think 78 millimeter film.
I think, yeah.
And there is one that poked out in my mind. And actually, so I start watching some of these YouTube videos, and these guys kind of almost write video essays on certain movies and some good commentary. And I'm watching one on Stanley Kubrick, and the narrator comes in, he breaks in, he's like, I went to Chicago, the Music Box Theater, and saw the 78 millimeter of 2001: A Space Odyssey for its 50th anniversary, I believe. And I was like, me too. I also saw that screening, and it was, we saw, me and my friend Brendan went to Chicago because we knew that they were showing it and stuff. I was like, we need to go to Chicago and see this movie.
Yeah.
And so we went there because I had watched something, a Stanley Kubrick documentary. I forget exactly, something about his like henchman. He had a henchman. He's an actor too. He's in Barry Lyndon. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I forget his name, but he now that Kubrick has passed away, is like the caretaker of the nobility, the authenticity of all the films.
Yeah.
So he's kind of has all that. So I knew that this was like a sanctioned screening. This was like the 78 millimeter print of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Went to the Music Box. You can like have a cocktail while you're at the theater, so that's nice. Got some popcorn, and we watched that. And two memorable moments. One is just the opening scenes, which are really just still photographs, essentially.
Yeah.
The color, the beauty of those opening couple of credits was shocking. I was like, dang, this is different than any other viewing experience that I've ever had. Ever. And since watched the whole first half of the movie, and I forgot that there's an intermission, and they took the intermission. So that was awesome. We all got up, we all like kind of refilled and stuff and kind of came back and then watched part 2. And it was like epic. It was so epic. It was my best movie viewing experience ever. So I always try to go to the theater to see a movie that I know is going to be awesome, because I can go back through time and be like, oh yeah, I saw that in theaters. I saw this in theaters. I saw this in theaters. Sometimes I'm the only one there, but I'm like, I'm going to see this one in theater.
Exactly.
In fact, I got 2 good examples. This Christmas Day, we spent Christmas Day not with the family. We went to the movie theater and saw Nosferatu.
I love that. That's awesome.
And that was a great Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, on my birthday, like on the day, we went and saw The Lighthouse.
Oh, wow.
And they're both Robert Eggers movies, but yeah, I just have this way of like, I'm like, that's going to be a good one. Need to see that one. So I usually will have something in mind months ahead of time. I'm like, I'm waiting for this movie to come out so I can go see it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Sinners, I gotta just do a shout out, was the most recent one where I was like so happy that I saw it in theaters. And that one was weird because it got a natural buzz. I had no idea about this movie before it came out. And then people started seeing it, and everybody agreed that it was good. And I was like, I guess I'm going to see this movie. And I went in completely blind, not knowing anything about what it was going to be. And I haven't been that refreshed and surprised by like a movie in a long time. So that's what sticks out. But I haven't seen it. I only saw it the one time. I haven't seen it again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I agree with that. And I love the fact that there are a lot of theaters now that are taking like more older classic movies and bringing them back into the theater, because there might be a movie from the 70s or 80s that you didn't see on the big screen and probably always thought, oh man, I bet that would have been really cool to see on the big screen. All of a sudden it's there.
Yeah.
So like perfect example with the t-shirt you're wearing today, they're having the 50th anniversary release, which might be this weekend, I think, of Jaws. And that is an epic movie. I think if people put like their top 10, top 20 list together, I think it's on most people's list somewhere. It
is somehow, there's a number of perfect movies. That one's a weird perfect movie, but it kind of is perfect. Yeah. And was plagued with so much problems in making it, but yet is so good, which I also love that. It doesn't need to be high tech or anything. It doesn't even need to be high budget to be really, really great, you know?
Yeah, there's so many parts of that movie that are perfect, as you say. Like, for example, when the orca is leaving dock and it's going out, the way they take that camera angle through the shark teeth in the shop, and you see the boat guy, like you just sit there and be like, did they do that on purpose, or was that just a wonderful accident? Because that was such a great shot.
Well, I think that's I've kind of watched a little bit about how Kubrick would do things, and I think Spielberg does it the same way. It's like, that's the good director, because you're just in the set, right? And you're doing, and you don't necessarily know how the shot is gonna go, unless, I mean, there could be a storyboard, but I've seen them kind of messing around with the angles in the moment, and then like settling on like, yes, the right zoom out, the right camera move to get there, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You know, that, and then I just feel like Robert Shaw's monologue on the boat is just phenomenal. And what leads up to it's great, because you're waiting for that buddy moment between these three guys, and you're finally getting it. You're finally getting these guys to connect a little bit. And then there's that one scene that never gets talked about again, where they're talking about their injuries, right? And so they're going back and forth. And so Roy Scheider like pulls up his shirt a little bit so it looks like a gunshot wound, but he doesn't say anything. It just like, it's obvious like what it is. Yeah. But like he looks at it and just puts it back down. He's just like doesn't want to share that.
I didn't know that guy was British until recently.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Oh man, he has the best little, he's not quite a pirate, but he has the best sailor voice ever.
He really
nailed it. I was like, man, it's amazing to even think he's maybe Scottish or something, or British for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And with your point, like bringing back some of those old movies, I thought, COVID was an okay time. You couldn't go to a movie theater, but we live in Valpo where there's a drive-in and you could go outside.
And you could, yes.
And they weren't making any new movies, and so they were just only showing old ones. And so we saw so many good old films, like in the old style at the drive-in. I had a car at the time that had a pretty decent stereo, and it was a convertible. So we went out there in the convertible, really good stereo, and I heard parts. They did a Spielberg double feature, and it was Jaws and Jurassic Park. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, talk about like epic experiences, right? And there was a couple of really good. They were doing these like great pairs. I wish they would do even more. It's a fantasy, a dream of mine to like own a theater and then like do it right.
Yes, I would agree. Yeah,
I will say I'm not a big fan of the new style movie houses, and I miss the old theaters. When I was really young, I grew up in Vincennes, Indiana.
Okay,
and we had the downtown street, and there was a theater like with the old marquee. And that was the movie theater.
Which would be considered like an art house theater or something.
Yeah,
probably.
It was. Yeah. I mean, essentially, these days it would be considered that because that's how movie theaters were.
Yeah.
All of them were kind of like that. Not quite a movie palace, but definitely like with the slanted rows and the sticky floors.
I love it, yeah.
And, all of that. And I saw a ton of movies there in the 90s. Anyway, if I were to... be able to do things my way, I would like own a theater like that, like the Crown Theater used to be, restore it, sell cheap concessions, and show like probably old movies.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And do these like little themed nights and stuff.
Yeah, I love the old movies. And as a matter of fact, last year I saw 2 Hitchcock. I saw North by Northwest and Rear Window. Cool. So I saw both of those on the big screen, and growing up, your color TV in your living room. That's where you like WGN would have like a Saturday afternoon matinee, and my dad would always watch them, so I'd watch them with him. And it was all movies like that. And anytime a movie theater promotes that, I just go, I have to do this.
I went through a little Hitchcock spell very recently.
Oh, did you?
I've seen Rear Window before, but it had been a long time, so I watched that one. And what's the other one? Vertigo.
Vertigo's good.
That's cool. That one's a little different.
It is different.
It's got a wispy vibe. Like kind of like this lady who's going out to the Golden Gate Bridge every day, kind of, and like staring out into the ocean. It's just a little different than like some other Hitchcock stuff. I
love that he worked so much with Jimmy Stewart, because Jimmy Stewart was kind of, especially earlier in his career, was just kind of that aw shucks kind of guy, and like roles that matched his personality a little bit. But when he would get with Hitchcock, man, that was a different characters for him for sure.
Yeah, kind of. I was thinking along the same lines. I was like, kind of was saying that a little earlier, like there's been multiple really great eras for movies in Hollywood, come up and down, and of course that was like a golden age in that time. They're like, I don't know when those movies were coming out, in the 60s. Right. Like all throughout the 60s. And I was like, Jimmy Stewart's A-list actor at that time, and he kind of found his Tarantino of the time, and Tarantino used him in 3 or 4 or 5, kind of like Samuel L. Jackson these days.
Exactly.
And he went through a whole cycle, and then there's a bunch of people who are just not even hip to Jimmy Stewart or or Hitchcock, and I don't consider myself I know he's got a lot more that I haven't seen, and I haven't seen North by Northwest, so. Yeah, I have to check that one out.
Yeah, you might have to check that one out. That one's pretty good for sure. Now, you obviously well-versed in the movies. You like a lot of different genres and things of that nature. But I know you love the historical movies based in history, and sci-fi as well. So I kind of want to do a little bit of a game. These are some segments that I take from some of my older radio shows and things of that nature. So there's one one segment that I used to have is called Rapid Fire. And I used to do this a lot on the sports show I used to have. And so I would like throw terminology out there. I'd throw a name, I'd throw a city, I'd throw a team, whatever out there. And it's supposed to invoke a quick, brief response to whatever that might be. And so I have picked, it's very short, but a list of historical films.
Okay.
And want to get your take. It can be as short as a word or two. It can be a full-on sentence. And sometimes that's hard to do. It might be tougher than you think. But we're going to get started. And we're going to get started with Schindler's List.
Oh, Spielberg's movie about his culture. And it was difficult to make for him.
I love it. Good job. Good job. That was good. Milk.
I was unaware of it, and then Sean Penn, and I still didn't see it, but I'm at least aware of the politician now.
Got it. Well, that'll be the challenge too, in the fact that I know you've seen a lot of movies, but there still could be a few.
I know that it's out there, but it's not one that I have gotten around to yet. But I know that it's there.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. It's one of those things where Sean Penn's one of those actors that kind of can rub people the wrong way. Doesn't have.
I'm not a hater or a lover, but he's got his moments.
Exactly. Yeah. This was definitely a moment for him. It was a very good movie. The Express, which was a sports historical film about Ernie Davis from Syracuse.
Murder on the Midnight Express.
There you go. Okay. I'll take it. I will take it.
Didn't see that one.
No, that's okay. Good movie, though. I recommend it. Argo.
Tarantino should have got the award.
Ooh, I like that. That's a hot take. I love that.
Do you know what the moment I'm talking about?
I do know.
Tarantino spits his champagne out.
Yes, I do. I do.
And rightfully so, because it was against Django, which was a brilliant movie.
It was phenomenal. Yeah. It was really great. Tora.
Oh, just in the classic, I bought a trilogy, and it included that and The Longest Day and a third World War II movie. So it just reminds me of that VHS set that I have.
Oh, that sounds like a great set. Zero Dark 30.
I watched it, and it was fine.
Okay.
It's like Black Hawk Down. I feel like they're just all too similar.
Yeah.
Although Black Hawk Down is
kind of at that time, there were like 2 or 3 or 4 movies all came. They were very similar that way.
There's also like The Hurt Locker. And, I don't know. I was like, all right.
Okay. Yep. Titanic.
Just absolutely brilliant. And the level of detail, I feel like I was there.
Yeah, level of detail is great. And all I'm going to say, Rose, you should have moved your ass over. There was plenty of room on that. What was it, a headboard?
It was a door,
I
believe.
It was a door.
Well, okay, so Cameron, I know this is too long.
Well, we're just talking about it now.
Cameron, this is his worst moment in all of his movies because he gets no more criticism than on that moment. And so he did like a whole thing. It did a little TV special where he puts him back in the water tank and 2 people, and they both get on the board. And yes, there is enough room. But the weight of the 2 people, because he used the exact same prop, the weight of the 2 people pushes the board down into where they're basically both in the water. And they would have both died. So it sounds like I'm defending Cameron there.
I was about to say, you're letting him off the hook?
I don't know. I'll look past it because the rest of it was so great.
Oh, no doubt. All right, the last one I have, 12 Years a Slave.
There's these certain movies that I think I can only just watch one time.
Yeah.
And there's a couple, and that one is so brutally and just like honest, true story. And Michael Fassbender goes to the darkest place ever, and I can only it makes me think about how that was probably real because he wrote that book and that's what he's talking about. So I was like, dude, just reminds me of the importance of teaching history to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which I know is a love of yours as well.
Yeah, I've grown a love for it.
Yeah.
And learned a lot. And the topic of slavery and what happened with all of it is something that I talk about very bluntly and openly and in detail. So
good.
Yeah.
That needs to be done.
Yep. And then, to the point where I'm like, I don't even care if it's uncomfortable or whatever. It was like, this is the topic of the day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
So
now, before we move to our next segment, I wanted to ask you, is there, like, if somebody said, hey, give me a recommendation, and maybe you've got a couple, give me a recommendation of a historical film that you think really embodies that period of history. Now, I know no movie's perfect in terms of accuracy necessarily, because films do take creative license,
sure.
And quite frankly, some things might just not look good on the screen, and they take some license there. Mm-hmm. So if someone were to come up and be like, hey man, I was just kind of looking for a cool historical film, like what would you recommend?
Something that really, okay, a clarifying question.
Yeah.
Should I suggest a movie that really nails the time period, or one that I think is that you're going to enjoy?
How about both?
Okay. Nails the time period. One that comes to mind for me is Black Death. Do you see this movie?
I have not seen Black Death.
It is a little bit of an independent film. It does have whoever plays, I think his name is Aragorn in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Yeah. No one just walks into Mordor.
Yeah.
He is a knight, and it takes place in the Black Plague, the Black Death, right? The bubonic plague, in what we can assume is maybe England or perhaps somewhere else in Europe, maybe France. And they're called upon to go to this village that is free of the pestilence. And so they go there, and I think maybe they must have suspected something, because there's all these warriors go along with him, and they have these torture devices and these weapons and stuff. And they go, and I think they're free of pestilence, but I think that they feel that there's a witch.
Ooh,
and so they are taken in, and chaos ensues, we'll say, for no spoilers. But that movie, just like with the tone of it, the settlement, the portrayal of the Dark Ages, it probably is a little maybe overhyped, but from some of the historical pictures that I've seen, it might be very accurate, actually. And just the whole idea of the history of burning witches and all of that atrocities that have happened, as far as like a movie that's kind of, for whatever, badass.
For sure.
Just because it's cool, and the way the movie turns out is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Black Death is really good. And that one almost checks both boxes, because it feels very to the period, but is also enjoyable, and not that many people have seen it. So it's like, in a way, did you watch Nightcrawler?
Oh yeah.
It's like a little independent, a little bit, but still pretty good and high quality.
Oh, for sure.
Same kind of thing for Black Death.
Ooh.
That would be maybe a historical. Another one that I just got to shout out, though, is Dances with Wolves. I don't know if that's based on a true story. I feel like it's not. It is based on a book.
Yeah.
But I just love that movie. I think about it like daily.
Do you?
Because it's just something about it. There's something about it's not your typical Western. It doesn't feel like a John Wayne movie.
Right.
It's I don't know. And I just grew up with that one. And as far as a historical time period that I just enjoy and think about, and everything that happens in that movie is, in my opinion, just like captivating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dances with Wolves, the music, the everything about that movie. Oh, and it was Kevin Costner's directorial debut.
It was.
And he hasn't really been able to match that, but he nailed it.
Oh, he nailed it for sure.
He's cool.
He is so cool. He is so cool. That's really great, and thank you for answering that. We're now on to something I call, well, not what I call, it's what it is, tier listing. And it's something that I've done on the Mark Mo Show podcast many times. And Aiden Maloney, who is my co-host on the show, we just got done doing a 2-parter on retro gaming. So we did everything from the Atari 2600 games all the way forward. We really didn't get up to like 360. It was more like PS2 kind of games. So we did a lot of games in that genre of gaming, and it was really good. It was really interesting, and I didn't necessarily put all the classics because then you're just going to load up your top tier, and it's just not going to be very interesting. So I picked a couple of sus games along the way. So I figured, if I'm going to sit down with you and we're going to chat movies, we're of course going to include sci-fi, and we're of course going to tier list some sci-fi movies.
Sure. Okay.
And they may not all be top tier, but maybe they are. We're going to find out here in just a second. So I'm going to name these movies. We're going to have a discussion. It's not like rapid fire where we're doing like a sentence. I mean, we can discuss these in length if we care to. So what we're doing is we're grading them. So S is the top tier. That's superior.
Okay.
Then you have A, B, C, D, and then F if you're just like, that movie's kind of trash.
All right.
So we're going to have that discussion. And the kicker is we have to agree. So maybe we'll be off a little bit and we just kind of have to sell where we're at with these movies. And I'm going to start with the original Star Trek movie.
Original Star Trek. Just called Star Trek.
It's just Star Trek. It's with...
Remind me what happens in this one. I've seen a number of them, and I kind of get especially with the ones with Shatner, like the plots, I get a little mixed up. Yeah,
it's Shatner and Nimoy, and the original one, it's vastly different. So it's not the Search for Spock or Khan or any of that, but it happens before all of those. And it's basically just like a glorified episode of the TV show.
What is the main villain or the problem in this one?
I can't even remember.
Okay. So
it's been a hot minute. It's probably been 20 years since I've seen it.
Okay, Star Trek. Well, I don't know how to respond, but I'm going to tier this one on the lower side just because it doesn't have a place in my heart as much. Star Trek was not something that I got into until later. J.J. Abrams to thank for that.
There you go.
So I'm kind of maybe one of those guys. I remember when I was a kid, it was Star Trek Next Generation with Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
And I would watch that show and I would be into it, but I guess I was always more of a Star Wars guy.
Sure.
And never really got the concept of what Star Trek is. And then I was aware of the old show. And I was like, okay, Star Trek. And then... the movies came out, and I was like, oh, these are going to be terrible reboot makes. And so I didn't watch them. And I came back to them later. A friend of mine showed me the Star Trek movie. He kind of almost sat me down and it's like, watch it.
Right.
He's like, if you don't pick up on like why this is cool, then I can't help you. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, I do get it. I get what Star Trek is. I get what... the universe is about in Star Trek, which I didn't understand before.
Right.
The Gene Roddenberry kind of like vision of it. And I was like, oh, that's way cool. And now these days I could say I think I like it more than Star Wars just because I agree with it more.
Right.
But those reboot characters, and especially the reboot Spock, who I'm ashamed to say I don't even know his name, who plays Spock in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek.
Right.
But I love that movie. Just
Zachary Quinto.
Is that Zachary Quinto? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he nailed it.
He did.
And the plot was cool and exposed me to a lot of Star Trek, and I kind of watched the sequels after that, and then went back and started to dig into the Shatner movies and all the Star Trek stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's an extensive show, to say the least.
Yeah.
So that if we're just tiering it, and we're going all the way back to the original, I got to say I just don't not as familiar with it for it to be a tier for me. So I will give it. It's not a bad movie though, so I'll give it a B-.
I'll agree with that. Okay. I was thinking C plus B- myself. because it is so rough.
Yeah. It's very 60s, very 60s.
Very 60s. The story is just very mid. Mm-hmm. And I mean, once again, if you're talking sci-fi, it's the beginning. It's the beginning of sci-fi. Sure. So you can't, like, I try not to be too judgy about it. I mean, it's not gonna, it's not gonna look, like a modern Star Wars movie or.
You know how some horror movies are kind of not meant to be great?
Oh, yeah.
In a way, and that's part of the charm. I feel like the cheesiness of those 60s sci-fi things was like part of what kind of gives them their charm a little bit.
Sure.
So in that case, this is kind of like that hilarious, perfect version of a not very well produced. I don't know if it's in the 60s or maybe 1970 for that first movie. Movie like that.
yeah. But the cinematography, all of that is pretty. Yeah. It's pretty rough. But you gotta learn to crawl before you can walk and run and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
Okay. All right. So we'll agree on a B-.
We'll agree on a B-.
I won't be too harsh on it and give it a C+.
Yeah. Well, I was ready to. 2001: Space Odyssey.
Now it has to be an S. Has to be, because
100%.
Well, everything you were just saying about like Star Trek being the foundation. Do you know what came out first?
I think the Star Trek movie did come out, but this was not long after, though.
Is it? Are we sure? Because I'm not sure on that. I don't.
Let's do some live podcast research.
Okay, because I was under the impression that there were a lot of what I was just saying, like bad sci-fi movies, like what Mars Attacks kind of plays on.
Yeah.
Like all those old, terrible 50s sci-fi films. That was what sci-fi was until 2001: A Space Odyssey came on and made a real space movie.
Yes.
And I will give that movie all the credit for everything that it is, and it has to be,
Is that right?
A masterpiece.
Looks like 2001: A Space Odyssey, 1968. Is that right?
Yeah, it was.
I think that's right.
It was very early because it was only his third film, I think. He did Lolita, he did Doctor Strangelove, and then he worked on 2001, and that came out, and it just blew everybody away. It still blows me away. I still don't know how they do some of those shots.
Oh, right.
Yeah, some of them.
Holy cow!
And then that's disregarding what happens in the movie and the plot and everything else about it. So, but I think that's the predecessor of all modern space movies. That's what I would call.
Oh, for sure.
So what are we saying? It's 1968 for 2001?
Star Trek. Well, the first Star Trek movie, Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Right, with Shatner.
Yeah, 79.
Yeah. What is that? 11 years later.
11 years later.
So it was actually 79. Yeah, it was well behind its time.
So sci-fi technically, that.
Yeah, there was already Star Wars by that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely, you know what? I'm going to, based on that,
maybe downgrade it.
I'm going to downgrade it to that C+.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go, and I will agree because of all those things that we just said.
Right. Exactly. When you take into consideration things like Star Wars and Space Odyssey and everything came before,
and
I think you have to.
And Space Odyssey is then the true founder of
100%
of what we would call space movies. And yeah, you can't give it anything less than an S, because they're even making movies based on that movie today. Every single director agrees that that's the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I also got to go with that.
All right. No, I agree 100% on that one. Empire Strikes Back.
My favorite of all the Star Wars movies. There are 11 or more Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
I know because I watched them all in chronological order once they were all out.
Yes.
Watched all of them from episode 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I stopped. And I didn't put Han Solo in there.
No, I have to say, and I'm going to ask you this. This is kind of, but see, this is for people listening to the Mark Mo Show. I often leave the highway. I find my way back on. Rogue One, what are your thoughts?
When I watched him in that sequence, so I went to see Rogue One in theaters, and I was like, meh. And then it had been a while, so I watched them all in that sequence. And what I came away with at the end of that, and this is probably not a popular opinion, The prequels, as in 1, 2, 3, are whatever, but I think I'm done with those.
For sure.
The sequels, 7, 8, 9 are garbage. All of it. Throw it in the garbage. Delete it.
Agreed.
That's me. 4, 5, 6, of course, are immaculate. And a surprise. Rogue One was actually pretty good. Like, I was like, hey,
yes,
I don't know what it is about that one. And it could be the director or something. I don't even know who directed Rogue One, but whatever they did on that one was enough. Like, I don't know. After watching all that Star Wars, I stopped caring about the plot and the characters. I was like, I'm just done with them. Like,
right.
they just go on too long. But yeah, it's a nice little isolated story that fits in right snugly right up against A New Hope and sets up the opening scene, and that's
perfectly.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and that's like I felt that movie was like a slow burn, and like it's building, and then just ends up being this Roman tragedy where you lose all your main characters, but like you tell this story, and it's an interesting story, but as I said, it's kind of a slow burn. You're just like, something's coming. God, I hope there's that payoff, because I feel something is coming.
And of course, they give you everything right when you need it. They also give you that great Darth Vader scene at the end.
Fantastic.
And there are a good amount. It's grimy like Star Wars should be, but there's also a really lot of beautiful visuals. But they're not all about the beautiful visuals. There were some problems with, I think it was like number 9. Like when Luke Skywalker comes back, but he's actually a ghost. Yeah. And it's like beautiful shot, but it's all white. And then as they move around, it reveals red underneath their feet, and it's a perfect sunset. And I was like, this is just a little much.
It's a much.
As far as like eye candy, like it can't just be all that, right? Because then it needs some substance.
Right.
And Rogue One had the right balance. Somehow, because it's a murky place, that Star Wars universe, because it's just a bunch of commercialism and all this.
Yeah.
But you nailed it. Empire Strikes Back is probably the best of all of them. Number 1 Star Wars movie. Because, who is it? Roald Emmerich? Ronald Emmerich? He has a ton of really good sci-fi. He did Stargate. He did Independence Day.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And
right.
Those are great too. And there's something, a little darker about that one. There's something about the fact that it's not George Lucas kind of directing, and there's a magic that comes with the original scene of Yoda. And I don't think that was Jim Henson. That was Frank Oz who kind of did all that. Yeah. With Yoda, and the everything about that one, right? Kind of cool. And I don't know. That's my favorite of all of them, and I think that's why. Oh, so what rank shall we give it? I wouldn't give it like a 2001 S. Okay. I would give it like a solid A. Okay. Yeah, I'd give it an A.
I'm down with the solid A.
Not even an A+, because just like, it's still Star Wars, you know?
Right.
It's like everybody knows and has seen Star Wars, mostly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Next movie, E.T.
Watched it a ton when I was growing up. I just saw it again. I think I got to see it at the drive-in.
Oh, yes, that's awesome.
It was at the drive-in here.
I love that.
Yeah. Very cool. It was great to see it in theater or at the drive-in. Something weird about that one. There's something a little not replicated in any other Spielberg movies. And I don't know when that was made, 88, 87. And I felt like he wasn't quite Steven Spielberg quite yet. He was still kind of a little grimy, little edgy, little, renegade.
Yeah,
and so there's some really renegade kind of like moments in that. There's this one really interesting scene, and I really noticed it when I saw it at the drive-in most recently. They got E.T. in their bedroom. We don't see what they're doing. We see the hallway, and they're like pulling a cable or whatever, and the cable kind of pulls this chair up against the wall. And I was like, why is that scene in there? And I was like, what is that scene? It does create a feeling for me, and it's a little ominous.
1982.
1982 for E.T.?
82.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, but it's got to be There are sci-fi and space movies that I kind of enjoy a little more for whatever reason. You know what it is? I noticed it at the drive-in. Seeing things in theaters, you kind of see what they really are, not on your TV, right? It's like a true experience. And what it is I think Elliot and probably a couple other sound effects in that movie limit the microphones. And he has this voice, Elliot does, and he's kind of screaming and yelling the whole movie, especially at the end.
Yes.
There's something about the sound of that like just kind of gets into my ears. I'm like, I don't enjoy it.
No,
so,
I understand that. Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of like drops it down for me a little bit in my overall enjoyment. But that's one that you gotta keep coming back to, and it's such a classic, especially 1982. It's stuck around all these years.
It has.
So
yeah,
I mean, it can't be lower than Empire Strikes Back, I think, or maybe it can be. I don't know. A-.
I was ready to go B+, and I my take on that is a bit comical, and that is I saw it as a kid and loved it. Right? I mean, he's this alien that isn't scary. He isn't this big thing that's going to eat you or kill you. It looks like a turtle out of a shell. Yeah. That's what he looks like, and so he's just kind of clumsy and whatever, and it's just like the film has a lot of heart. So there's a lot of good things about it. And then for the Atari 2600, this game E.T. comes out.
I think I played it maybe once or twice.
It is one of the worst video games in the history of video games, because you get to the scene where he falls down this hole and you can't get out.
That's hilarious.
Like the game's over. Like you rage quit. Like rage quitting
is
video
that a
games.
flaw in the game? Can anybody beat that game?
I don't know.
I don't know.
All I know is like I rage quitting is like current terminology, but I think it began with that game because you would just
and that makes you not like the movie as much.
I downgraded that a little bit, honestly.
I guess it's as bad as me like not liking the way his voice limits the microphone sounds. We're getting nitpicky.
We are, but I would downgrade it to a B+.
I feel guilt with that because it's such a classic. It's a classic.
So you want to A- then?
Yeah, I mean we're talking 1% here.
Okay. All right, we'll do it. This is a bit of a comedy too, but it's sci-fi. Paul.
That was like so surprisingly good.
Right?
There's been so many like, I don't know, throwaway movies that there's just like a bunch of junk. But Paul wasn't that. And it has all these great little sci-fi callbacks. Tons of them. And then Sigourney Weaver shows up.
Right.
and the idea of like I don't know what you would call it. What's his name? Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen kind of like, weed smoking alien. But there's a reason for that because he's been on Earth since the 50s. Mm-hmm. Kind of cool. I mean, at least it was a play on all the great sci-fi traditions, but something at least a little different and fresh.
Yeah, for sure.
But not essential to any sci-fi collection, but a good addition. Yeah, surprise, a little bit of surprise.
It's a fun watch.
I like how good it is.
Yeah.
And I've come back to it because of that. And I just love that repeated line that they keep coming to. They're like, 3 tits. Nice.
Nice.
and it reminds me of Total Recall.
Right? Exactly.
So good. Mm-hmm. But being what it is and not essential, I'll give that one like a B.
I'm down with that because I really enjoyed that as well. All right, we got a few more here to go. Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr.
Not into the Marvel movies. There are too many of them.
Yeah.
I was for a while in certain ones. I watched all the X-Men's. I really like the X-Men because they're all so diverse in their powers.
Yes.
So I watched those original Spider-Mans, and I think I've seen most of the Spider-Man, and I like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But what are we talking about? Iron Man. I went forever and never saw it. And how many Iron Mans are there? 2 or 3?
3. Yeah.
3?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that. People are gonna like be raging on this podcast because I just went to because all the friends were going to see it. I just acquiesced and went and saw. I just jumped right into Avengers Endgame.
Oh, did you?
Didn't watch anything before that.
Oh, wow.
And there was another one, right? Endgame and
Xfinity Wars was Infinity Wars was before that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I saw those two. I jumped into Infinity Wars, and then I returned for. What is it?
Endgame. Yep, there you go.
So, I came back to those and then, was introduced to Downey Jr. and Iron Man. And I did go back and I watched that original Iron Man, but I never made it to the end.
I'll tell you what, grade it as you grade his performance maybe in those 2 movies.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that.
But I went back and I watched the original Iron Man.
Okay.
I didn't make it to the end.
Gotcha. Okay.
But Downey Jr. is good in everything, and I think he did something good for that character who was pretty dull by that point. Not a lot of people were saying anything about Iron Man. I remember Iron Man when I was a kid, and he was just really very much a side Marvel character.
Right.
That's how I remember him.
Oh, yeah.
So he resurrected it and made it cool and hip, and everybody has loved those movies. And of all the Marvel movies, people keep talking about Iron Man.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, a B.
Okay, I'll give that to you. I would have been in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
For sure.
I could even go B- on that one.
Yeah.
What do you think? What would you say?
I think B is good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. I got 2 left here. Interstellar.
An A+? I want to just say off the bat, do you think it's an S?
No, I think that's fair because S, you have to be okay, it's as good as Space Odyssey.
Yeah, or
it's great.
There's
really
ways
good
to get there that you don't have to be as sometimes you can't compare apples to oranges in a way, and sometimes you can just be an S for a different reason. But I don't think it's quite there, and I don't even know that it's my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but it is a great sci-fi movie. I saw that. In theaters and midnight. It was a midnight showing at IMAX. Nobody else there. One person in the theater. It was me. And
there's something cool
I
about
sat
that,
right in the center. And I had these, I don't know what kind of sound they have for IMAX, but it blows you away. I remember being blown away by that movie. And there's one scene that just does that for me in that movie, and it is a small moment. They're in hypersleep, or I believe, and they wake up because they're about to go into the portal. Yeah. And they're floating past Saturn, and you see Saturn in all its beauty and glory and hugeness, and you see this little light reflection of a speck, and that's the whole spaceship. Yeah. And I was just like, that is, and there's silent, I think, for that. Yes. It's just the vastness and bigness of space. And I think about that when I'm painting, I was like, all you need is a little white speck to imply a giant spaceship, but it's dwarfed by something even bigger. So I really love the idea of expressing hugeness, I guess, in a way, or really playing with scale and size. Yes. And that's cool. Yeah. So I love that. Cool. And then the rest of the movie is so good. And I love the opening. Yeah. And I have a criticism, though, of Nolan. Okay. You go back to his movies, and I think Interstellar is on this. You go back, and the more times you watch them, the more you kind of start to see their imperfections. Yeah. There's some parts, maybe in the acting, maybe in the plot in Interstellar that don't seem to add up. They're more of a feel that feel really good on the first time, and then upon a closer examination, tend to be more I don't know. But that's I'm not even being very detailed with that. I'd have to rewatch a scene and kind of maybe pick it apart a little bit. Yeah. But still, even that A+.
A+, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
And as far as I love Matthew McConaughey. That's probably one of his best movies, I would say.
Easily.
And he had a bunch of really good ones before that, but he just was a great character in that one.
Oh, he was. Mm-hmm. He definitely was. Last one, Sigourney Weaver, Alien.
The first one?
Mm-hmm.
Now that's one that I would be tempted to give an S to.
Mm-hmm.
because of all many things. For
yeah.
one, of course, Aliens 2 and what it inspired. The director who made it and all the great movies that he's made, because I love Ridley Scott. I like everything that he does almost. And when you look at it and you go back to that movie that has been around since 1978 or 1979, and you look at for what it was unique for its time because it was like a horror film in sci-fi.
Right.
That was its thing back then. But you look at these opening scenes. For one, I don't know who made the music for that, but those flutes and how it opens I just love the opening. And they still use that opening in a lot of the Alien movies today.
They do.
The flutes and like the computers firing up, and you're just kind of in this world. And the world is dirty and it's not high tech. Like they're in space and stuff, but like it's, their spaceship is always crashing and stuff, and they're always fixing it, and nothing is made very well, and they're all just miners, I believe. They're just workers for the company.
Yeah.
The whole idea of that, the plot, and then like the Prometheus and things like years later, and coming back to it, and like when you go back to that original movie, all of that infrastructure for that stuff is there. Wayland is there. It's like the idea of the cyborg robots are there. The mission of what the company wants and how the characters are unaware of the evil plot of the company that you never see in the movie, and you never see in any of the movies. It just keeps it rolling. All such cool concepts. Not even to say H.R. Geiger, who makes the best alien xenomorph that you can imagine, and just his whole thing and his artistry to that. And then I'm not exactly sure. They're going into the alien spaceship, and you can look at some of the practical effects. I think they're just barrels and like gutter tubing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For all the like the very intricate like alien like structures that are inside there. Like it's a lot of really household stuff, and very like practical effects, and they looked really good for 1978. The spider thing that comes out of the egg, and the goo, and man, they're a level and attention to detail so cool. And then Ripley is not even really the main character for most of the movie, but yet she's the surprise survivor and becomes really, I would call her one of the greatest heroines in movies is Ripley, and Sigourney Weaver.
Absolutely. Nailed
it. And kind of strong, but yeah, it's like kind of not like sexy in a way, but in like the not like a Marilyn Monroe kind of
not
traditional
in the traditional way, right?
Which makes it even more just cool.
It's so cool.
And she takes on the alien, and just the concept of the organism, of how it's the perfect organism, and like the scientist wants to study it and all this.
Yeah,
way cool. I'm giving that one an S.
It's S tier for sure. Yeah, Alien's a great flick.
Yeah,
I love it.
Not everybody loves it.
No,
no. That was a surprise to me. I have some friends, and they're like, we talk about movies quite a lot, and I realized that none of them had seen Alien or Alien 2, or Aliens. So I exposed them to Aliens, which is a little bit more just straight to the point, a little less artistic, more action flick. They said it was boring.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what? This is like the most non-boring movie.
I know, right?
What more could you want in Aliens? There's a million aliens. There's Marines and Hicks. And
all of it.
And what's his name? Who's the guy you love to hate in that movie? Paul Reiner. But what's his name in the movie? He's got the perfect character name.
It is escaping me as well.
I don't know. I can see Sigourney Weaver grabbing him by the Marty McFly vest. I don't know what his name is in that movie, but yeah, he is a great like dweeby villain in a way.
Oh,
he's worse than the aliens, right? So
I would agree. I would definitely
so both
agree.
are cool, and I really love. That's one of the franchises that has like remained pretty good. And I have not watched the most recent television series that they've started.
Right.
Gotta say, not a big fan of television series. And once you start making a million episodes and you have to explain everything and you gotta go on, you gotta fill episodes.
Right.
I just feel like, for one, I lose attention. It goes on too long, which is the opposite for a lot of people these days. Like they say they like shows because they're shorter, but I say they're long. There's like seasons.
They're longer.
Seasons.
Yeah.
So I don't know about this new show, but it's Alien, so I will go and check it out and at least give it a good try.
All right.
But almost all the Alien movies that I can think of, minus Alien versus Predator, I'm going to set those ones aside, have been pretty solid in one way or another. I even like Alien Resurrection.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It's cool enough. Yeah. It's its own thing. Yep. And so is Alien 3. It's its own thing, but doesn't ruin anything. Yeah. And then Ridley Scott returning for these last three, which have been Prometheus and Covenant and what was Romulus.
Yeah.
So good.
So good. Well, there you have it. Anyway, that wraps up our movie talk and our time with Sergijoe Villani. But I want to thank you so much for coming on the show here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark.
It's Fireside Chats, Mark Moe Show. And if you want to give a quick plug, I know you got an upcoming gig.
Playing with the Bridge William Band at Austin Community Tavern, September 12th. I'm playing at Granger's in Hobart, coming up on September 7th.
Okay.
And if you're out in the Michigan City area, there's a place called the Summer Dunes Theater, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to hang up some recent paintings and artworks over there, just for a little event that they're doing over the weekend. So
fantastic!
And I will not be the only artist featured, so there'll be quite a few others and a good. I forget exactly what the event is at the theater, but there'll be something happening like in the music department as well.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you. And I want to thank all of you for listening this week. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. And we will catch you again next week. Take care, everybody.